What's going on YouTube? Welcome to my channel Money Moves with K. I am K, and today we're going to talk about hidden tax auction websites that I wish I knew about earlier, okay? There are times when I think about my earlier days of investing, and this is prior to me even being or knowing about tax auctions. I really wish I knew about some of these websites, and these are some of them, all right? So without further ado, let's get started. So the first website I want to discuss with you is called WilliamsAuction.com. Now, WilliamsAuction.com is I'll say auction network sometimes. So those will be interchangeable. I do believe that what it says right here, powered by Auction Network. So keep that in mind. If I say Williams & Williams or Auction Network, that's what I mean. It's primarily the same. Seems like it's under the same umbrella. So I'm going to click here under buy, and it says all properties. And it has different states. So a lot of you say, well, okay, what about us in the West or the East or the South or the North? Well, here they identify and they categorize each and every state. So you are able to find your state and find what properties they have for sale. But for example purposes, let's click Alabama. So Alabama's here, and you have to do your due diligence. So you may see the price and say, well, that's a good price for me, but you have to identify repairs as well. That's a part of your due diligence. So identifying what repairs will be needed for that particular property. And I go over that in my course. So the course will be linked in the description and pinned in the comments if you're interested in the course, where I discuss due diligence and how to conduct that, and also how to find liens that are associated with the property, such as this one, potentially. I don't know if it is or not. So I wanted to show you something because this property, you can see that it will require some repairs. So it says it was built in 1940, 3-bedroom, 1 bath. And if you scroll down here, I want to read these special notes. It says seller to pay taxes, HOA, and municipal or utility liens. How would you know if it has a back taxes, HOA, or municipal utility lien? Well, you can do some due diligence and identify these things prior to even going to a lawyer or a title company for them to do it. You can identify these things yourself, and I show that in the course, okay? So it also says to please read everything. Make sure you contact these folks. Don't be afraid to contact someone if you need help. They have an email address here. They have a phone number. Look at the frequently asked questions. Look at the help center. Contact them because you may identify other questions that come to your mind that you want to ask, and everything's helpful to you because this is your hard-earned money. You want to make sure you do enough due diligence up front to avoid a headache in the back end of purchasing a property that may not have been a good deal to begin with, okay? So as you can see, like I said, this property probably needs some work because most properties do, especially if it was built in the 1940s. So the opening bid here is $30,000. That's the starting bid. Sometimes under it will say that the reserve has not been met. So keep that in mind. If the reserve has not been met, then it hasn't been met. It also says here that there's a no buyer's premium. So that's pretty cool for this property. So yeah, these are all things to keep in mind when you're looking at these properties to ensure that you get a good deal. So let's continue to scroll down. I saw one property that I wanted to discuss with you guys. I think it had a road next to it. I think it was this one. Let's see. So this just zooms in on some of the pictures. I didn't want to do that necessarily. I wanted to talk about this. So this is like, if you already know, I am an appraiser trainee, and this will be a little nugget, I guess. So you see how this road is here, and a lot of times you have to look through the lens of an appraiser, right? Because essentially, if you buy this house and you fix it up and you flip it and you resell it on the market, the person that's purchasing the property more than likely will use a bank or a lending institution in order to do so, right? So it more than likely will be a big purchase. So how would an appraiser that's going in look at this property and appraise it? That's the lens that you have to have when you're looking at these properties. So you see this road, if it's a major road or a highway or it attracts a lot of traffic, then that could impact the appraisal, okay? So that's what they teach us in appraisal school or courses. It's not necessarily a school, but I did some classes and I took the test. So if you see a property that has a view, for instance, and there's another property on another website that I'm gonna show you, that view can be considered something that's a positive thing, right? Depending on the view. If it's an ocean view, wow, that's awesome. But you have to look at flood insurance. There's so much that you have to look into, right? So this is that website. This is Auction Network, but it's affiliated with Williams & Williams or WilliamsAuction.com. And I wanted to bring this to you. Let's go back to the home page so I can see if there are any other properties that may interest us as we look through these properties. Let's look at Michigan as an example. All right. Now, typically what catches my attention is something that's on the cheaper end, but of course you want to identify why. Why is it on the cheaper end? Let's go back to the home page. They have Hawaii on here. They have one property. They have California. They have Georgia, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa. The list goes on. So this is one of the websites I wanted to bring to you today and discuss it with you. Let's move on to another website I wanted to talk about. This is kind of like a honorable mention, so to speak. It's Ashland Auction Group, okay? So it's ashlandauction.com. I'll put it at the bottom of the screen so you can see. And they are primarily based or have a lot of auctions online in the Maryland area, okay? So I clicked on map so I can see, because they did have a couple properties in the Florida area as well. Okay. I saw some land in Florida, I do believe. Yeah, that was some land. But mainly, as I've frequented this particular website for a couple of years, really, I've seen that they mainly operate in the Maryland area. Okay, but they do have properties in other areas, and that map will allow you to see those properties. Let me go back because I want to show you some of these things that I'm looking for with an appraiser lens so that I identify what's valuable, what's not. So you see how these are considered row houses. I used to live in the Maryland area, Temple Hills. Stand up, let's go. Temple Hills, Maryland. I also lived in Woodbridge, Virginia, and I worked in Washington, D.C. I was a teacher for 7 years, 6 or 7 years in the Washington, D.C. area. And these are all familiar to me. Not the neighborhoods because I wasn't into real estate at the time, but the style of the home is very familiar to me. So you see these properties are boarded up. You have to account for, again, repairs, okay? You also can account for what is happening in the area. Is it a lot of construction in the area? More importantly, are people wanting to live in that area, okay? Or not? These are all things you can identify and say, I want to invest there or I do not. But those are all things that you put into your maximum allowable offer so that you understand if you want to even make an offer on the property or not. Let's check out this property. It's in Fishing Creek, Maryland. So as you can see, let's look at some things real quick. It's 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. It's a riverfront. There are 3 days left with the auction. The reserve has not been met, okay? They have some fees here, the initial deposit, 3 days left, and they tell you more information about the property. How walkable is it? Do you need a car, etc. But I wanted to point out something with the appraiser eyes for a second. So we don't know, I guess this is the location, yep. We don't know the dynamics. I don't know the dynamics of the property because I haven't looked the property up. I'm just going off of what they show on the website. But when I do my due diligence, I will identify yay or nay for this property. However, with this property, I do see that it says waterfront property with 3 acres. Okay, so I just said that it depends on the view, but if it has a view, it could be, I say that with a caveat, it could be worth very valuable, right? The appraisal for this could come in very good depending on the comps in the area. It's not just about the view, it's the comps in the area because this is a 3 bedroom, 1 bath. There may be other properties that have more square footage you should be looking at too. Let me see, what's the square footage on this? Does it say right here, 3 acres? Oh, it says the taxes. It says Title information sold free and clear of all liens. That's interesting. That's positive. I would still check. I wouldn't just go off of that. I would still check, and I know how to check behind the scenes, right? Auction ID. You have a 2.5% broker co-op commission will be paid on bid price. All this stuff you need to read. You need to do your due diligence, even on the websites I suggest, okay? So keep that in mind. But in the event that this were a property, I'm giving you an example. If this were a property that had a really nice view of the water, right? Had a really nice view, and maybe it was a corner lot and had all these attributes to it, the appraisal for this could be pretty good, right? But it all depends. You have to look at your comps. But I did want to drop some nuggets about when especially if you're purchasing to flip them and put them back on the market. When you do this, you need to make sure that you look at things with an appraisal or appraiser lens, okay? So keep that in mind. Those are the two websites I wanted to bring to you today. If you made it this far in the video, comment down in the comment section. I made it. It allows me to know you made it here, and I truly appreciate you. Thank you so very much for watching my content. I don't take it for granted. 100,000 subscribers, 1 million subscribers. I don't take it for granted, and I appreciate you. Until next time, guys, you stay blessed. Peace.